I wish the fade was like a little bit more dramatic. Like I wish you guys could actually really appreciate the white noise that I got going on behind me right now. This is the best white noise known to man. Let me go over to chat because I'm doing this in let's do that. I'm doing this in Restream. But more importantly than anything, greetings and aloha. It's Mike's from livemyassoff.com. I'm here with the mobile broadcast studio. Welcome to the Cool Kids Table, my friend. Live from Koh Chang. I was in the mood to do this with a guarantee of essentially no viewers, if for no other reason than it is 2:50 p.m. Hey! See, here's the thing. Thank you so much, Stefan. I'm really honored that you came by. Let me get rid of this silly thing so I can actually acknowledge you with some degree of maturity. How's that? Good morning, Sweden. Good afternoon from Thailand. And I know that I'm a little bit washed out because the gorgeous that is behind me is doing it on purpose. I actually, believe it or not, have a softbox that's like pummeling about 200 watts of ambient. So 6,500, right, is the temperature of the lighting. And however, nature's brighter, and I got no problem with that. Gracie and I have been here on Koh Chang now for effectively 48 hours, and it has been awesome. Last night, again, the loudest thunder, and there was lightning, and this stuff that I hear it doesn't shut off. Like, you know how at night sometimes you're by a beach, right, and then it'll get sort of like quiet as the sun sets and it goes down. Oh no. This has been going the whole time, and I couldn't be happier. Now, to be fair, it is raining with the exception of right this second. And I purposely have my phone on because, so what I'm trying to do also is make it sort of easy for me to go live, but also to go live with some degree of sophistication. And what do I mean by that? With some lighting, which again, it's impossible for me to get brighter than this, but I'm not going to sit the other way and have this, and selfishly have this in front of my face and not be able to share it with you guys. But actually, what I really wanted to do a little bit more, I wanted to kind of do a little bit more of that. Let's see if I can do that a little bit more. Anyway, regardless, hi, how's it going? My name is Mike's, and this is livemyassoff.com, because I get to wake up this morning and I get to experience a whole lot of this. So I wanted to do a couple things. I wanted to do a recording, and Gracie and I actually, if you've ever been to Koh Chang, we drove all the way down. So we're basically at we're south of White Beach, and we're at a place called the Top Resort. And it's stellar, and I believe I published a video of the facility, just like kind of like walking around, which was, was pretty cool. Maybe I can lower that and get a little bit more in my face, so I'm not completely washed out. So stand by. Might be a little bit better, but maybe not. And again, at the end of the day, so what? And, as you guys know, if you followed me at all, you know that these live streaming thingies that I do with my face washed out, the majority of it is to share the experiences with my mom. and also have a little bit of awesome behind me. So now I know that I'm a little bit better. But to be fair, define better, right? As Gracie and I were driving along today, we drove south from here and drove down past. We drove basically all the way to Lonely Beach. If you guys know the west side of Koh Chang, then you're probably pretty familiar with White Beach and Lonely Beach, okay? And there's Klong Prao, which is also very popular. I will tell you, though, that my assessment of this island being here with a car while it's raining with very few people, and I don't just mean there's essentially zero tourists, meaning compared to the amount of people that are here and compared to the amount of rooms that are available for tourists, the number of tourists here is statistically insignificant. It is the absolute equivalent of no one being here. Yes, there's a little bit of revenue, but I can tell you that the majority of people that I interface with on the road and that sort of thing are people that work and live here, and not foreigners that live here either. 2 nights ago, we stayed at Natara and did a video on that. That is on the east side of the island, and it was awesome. It was incredibly quiet, and obviously, again, we're not sharing any of this with anybody. But I will say, with the storm that's come up, it might have this noise in the background over there as well, which is fine. The reason I'm staying here is because a friend of mine from Pattaya was like, "Hey, so if you go to Koh Chang, make sure you reach out to this guy, Michael Weber. He has this resort there called Tops Resort, and whenever I interface, like when I go see Rob in Phuket, for example." Or anyone else that lives in a city, that one of the first things I say, I need to rent a motorbike, or I need to go buy this, or I need this, and I need this done, or I need this service, or I need this product. Do you have any friends that sell those? Because of course I would much rather put money in the pocket of your friends than just sort of some random person. In other words, if I need a Diet Coke and your buddy can sell me one for however much, then great, I'll go buy it from him versus going to 7-Eleven. Amidst the ease with which I can obviously purchase stuff at 7-Eleven, hence the name convenience store. But with the sort of friends and family, right, that you do. But I will tell you, and what I was just about to say, the friends and family discount. One of the things actually that I think is really an interesting paradigm is the infamous friends and family discount. So one of your friends or one of your friends' friends, someone in your circle, right? They offer you their product or service, and there's the label of friends and family discount, which means it's going to put less money in their pocket. Now, as someone who cares for them, as someone who's a friend of theirs, as someone who's even a slight acquaintance of theirs, wouldn't you more prefer to put more money in their pocket? Right? I mean, so I don't know. I've always thought that that's sort of interesting that that it's labeled a friends and family discount, and so arguably one could label that the unknown. Does it matter whether that's on or not? Oh no, you can tell, can't you? These, the connectors, like the big shaft or the big prong connectors. That's what my softbox has, and the extension cord or the power strip, basically, I have for the big connectors. It doesn't work great, so it gets a little loose, and therefore I flash in and out. But again, this is more about the talking. It's more of a podcast, really, I suppose, than a live stream. But so 3 p.m. here in Thailand, which basically means I'm looking at, I believe it would be 5 p.m. for my buddy Chris. And over in, or maybe 6. I can't remember whether he's 3, 4, 2, whatever hours. But nonetheless, it's I'm glad that I'm doing this because the other thing too is that amidst this absolute, one could argue, perfection and awesomeness, right? I've just been feeling kind of like a little bit out of it. And what I find is that when I'm feeling out of it, the best thing I can do is interface with, friends. Obviously, Gracie is on the top of that list. But, we're here together. And, I'm just I don't know, I'm just not feeling it. And I don't know whether it's the fact that there is, rain or that sort of thing. I mean, I'm very photon driven. I can tell you that, if it is one of the reasons that I moved over to Thailand is because of the long days. In other words, the longer amount of, daylight. Okay. So, I mean, in the US, right, we have the nights are longer, as they say, in the winter. The days are shorter. And where I grew up in the New England area, Boston area, in the winter, it gets dark at about, it can get as dark as early as like 3:30 or 4. And over here, because of the weather that we've been having, 3:30 or 4, it gets dark. Sometimes it's been like 2:33. We look up, it's like, oh my God, it feels like it's like 5:30, 6 o'clock. But for the most part over here, I mean, we're at latitude, I'm probably right, about just under latitude 12, because I think Bangkok's latitude 12. I think Phuket is like latitude 11 or something, and we're about that on the east side here. Anyway, it's been a little bit overcast, and when that lasts the whole day, I can definitely feel my mood changing. Now, again, the nice thing is that it doesn't take me long to sort of pause and say to myself, Mike, you're in paradise. And one could argue that the label of hey, suck it up, could be could be applied too, but I will say that I think another contributing factor is that it's not, I mean, believe me, I love having a beach all to myself. I love having a resort all to myself. But when I go outside the resort and I drive down the street and I try, like at first, when this whole COVID thing was happening and I was traveling by myself before Gracie got back over here, and I would be places, and there was essentially, I wasn't sharing anything with anybody, but things were open, like 7-Elevens were open, and then, little restaurants were open. There wasn't anyone there. And, as you might guess, any proprietor, right, they're very excited that you showed up to actually give them money for their, product or service. And so that was great too. But then, places just started saying, look, we can't afford to do this. I mean, in other words, we're losing money every second that ticks by, every minute that ticks, you want to talk about, being depressed, regardless of the ambient temperature or the amount of, photons you got going on with you right now. I mean, if your business is just tanking more and more and more and more every day, then that's your life. That's your life. That's your livelihood, right? And that's your family. And so, I mean, how do you live with that? I got to go figure out something else to do. So, a lot of people have just been, to the best of their ability. They're like, look, I can't do it anymore. And so there's a lot of for rent signs and that sort of thing. Now, believe me, with my rose-colored glasses, I'm able to look at a lot of these things, and I can say, hey, look, here's an opportunity. Okay, this business is gone, and the business that was here, they don't necessarily own the real estate. So it's not like I can go up to them and put money in their pocket by saying, look, I know you can't sell T-shirts, I know you can't sell food, I know you can't sell rental property, I know you can't sell. I know you can't rent cars, you can't rent motorbikes, you can't do tours, you can't have boat rides, you can't do, all this. But I'll buy your real estate off of you, right? And yes, I'll get it for less than you thought it was worth, back in 2019, which of course was your fantasy. Otherwise, you would have sold it. But usually what happens is the facilities are owned by somebody else, and they've been just renting to that owner. And so now it's for rent. And the owner, while they aren't getting any regular monthly income because the business wasn't there, usually these are long-term plays that these people have. And so therefore, they're like, well, yeah, I won't get any rent this year. I won't get any rent next year. Maybe even the third year I won't. But, I'm into this thing for 20 years. And, I didn't buy these row of shop houses for X amount of million baht thinking, oh, yeah, I'm going to flip these. I mean, there's not a whole lot of flip this house episodes over here in Thailand because you don't do that. So I was like, this is like, okay, and there's opportunities for this, and maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that. Forgive me, Mike, that you are losing me about weather from Thailand, considering I'm watching from Ireland. You just then redeemed yourself by saying, suck it up. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get it, Dennis, right? And yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing, dude. I have zero problems today. And, a lot of it is because of just dumb luck. I mean, I didn't put an ad out in a newspaper saying, I want to find the best mate for me. Here are all of my qualifications. Here's what I can bring to the table. Here's what I expect you to be able to bring to the table. And then Gracie, showed up and says, okay, well, here's my application. Let's make this. No, I mean, it was completely random, right? But yet here I am, with a great partner in a great location and able to, wake up in the morning one more day. because I have a friend who like didn't want it. His plan last on the 28th of August, on the 27th of August, he's like, okay, well, I'm going to, live for however long I'm going to live. Let's back up 2 weeks before that. So let's say, for the sake of argument, August 1st, right? Long before he even, knew how to spell hospice. He was saying, okay, well, I'm going to live tomorrow. I'm going to do this tomorrow. I'm going to plan this tomorrow and everything. Okay. And then August 27th basically falls asleep. August 28th, he doesn't wake up. And, his plan was to live, and he didn't. And so, I plan on living tomorrow. Gracie and I have plans. My rental car company would really appreciate if I would follow through on the commitment and give them back their vehicle. But who knows, right? There's no guarantee. And so I get to wake up this morning, after not getting a good night's sleep because of this crazy ass white noise, in addition to the, nonstop thunder. And I don't know if you guys did. I was thinking about you guys, actually, because I did a live stream probably about a year ago now. It was middle of the day. I was in Bangkok, but it was definitely sort of the rainy season, right? And so there was lightning and thunder, and I love that. I love the energetic rain. And so every time there was a clap of, or there was a flash of lightning, I do this thing, and I don't know whether you guys do it, but it's just like, the lightning hits in 1002, 1003, 1004, and then the thunder comes, right? Because as a kid, I believe, I was told, and I still believe it today, it could be completely false, but it's a fun exercise, that every second that goes by is basically the amount of miles away that the center of the storm is, because of obviously the delta between. What's cool about the mosquitoes here is that they are so chill and they are so relaxed on this island that it is so hot that they're just like flying around, and it takes literally zero effort to kill a mosquito. And I'm sorry, but like that is pleasurable for me. Greetings, Robin. Thanks for your message. Enjoy your stream here on the. Hey, thank you so much, Robin. Robin and I have been trying to connect. I don't know. So it's 3 p.m. here. What time is it there now, Robin? I know that we were trying to connect and do that sort of thing. And he does. I'm honored. He wants to interview me for some show he does, I guess. I'm not quite sure, but I believe he's up in the UK, but I don't know for a fact. And unfortunately, for the, once I just like turn, let's have Mike and I can talk after he does his live stream. Well, unfortunately, when I'm done my live, hey, honey, she's like a full 7 meters away from me. When I'm done this, I actually have two things I need to check on, not the least of which is BKK.FM. The automation system, for some reason, is stopping. Stopped at 10:30, stopped at 12:30. I have a system in place that obviously takes care of that and restarts it automatically, restarts the automation system, gets the music going, and it's never off the air for more than 60 seconds. However, as you might guess, that is what's referred to as pissing me off, and so I need to find out the solution to that, which is a bummer. So 10 a.m. Okay, so that okay, so you're 6 hours behind me. Yeah, see, that's the bummer, right? Because like in my mind, well, not in my mind, but what occurs for me very regularly is that when I have conversations with people that do not live in Thailand, the majority of those people are in the United States. And so the time I have conversations with those people are between about 7 in the morning my time and about 10 a.m. my time, which is horrible, right? Because that's basically between 1 and 4 a.m. your time. And so that doesn't work. I understand that. My evenings, my day effectively ends at approximately 5:30. And so I don't know. I mean, if we can somehow do that, I know that right now, like I just had someone book a call with me. And the closest they could do, the soonest I think is it showed up in my calendar, 3:30 on Saturday, my time. So that's, the best I can do there. But again, I have a calendar that, anyone can go to and book me effectively. It's a Calendly, the guys that started that. I believe it. I don't know the status of that company anymore, but I believe that it's transitioned into different leadership than when I first started using it. But nonetheless, it's a pretty good solution. Thank you so much for letting it slide this time. I've done a good Ireland time now, and boom, YouTube sent me 2 notifications in a row. Life is good. Holy crap. You know what's so funny? Dennis is hilarious, by the way. His comments on my YouTube video, they always make me smile, dude. So thank you very much. I really love your outlook on life. I love your level of sarcasm and cynicism and humor as well. So thanks. Thanks for helping me laugh at myself, even though I do have a skill set that involves that. But So right now, again, 3 p.m. on Wednesday here. Tomorrow is Thursday. We're going to be here. I came in and I said, yeah, let's just stay for 2 nights. The app on my phone tells me that it was going to be, basically, there was going to be no chance of rain today in about the 3 o'clock hour. Robin says, we'll definitely find something 5 hours behind me. Okay, cool. It's because I cannot work the calendar with my voice. Oh, got it. That's what you meant by that. I couldn't understand what you meant by that, but I understand now. Yeah. So you've got a voiceover schedule that, yeah. And, that's the deal, right? In other words, I don't have like a real job, but I absolutely have commitments. And, again, to the point where like I'm really grateful that I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning. Thank you, Ted. Yeah, thank you, sir. I have plans for like the next week and a half, not the least of which is we need to get Gracie's visa extended 2 more months. In that time, I need to get my OA visa extended 1 more year. And then when that occurs, then I need to roll her on to my visa as, I guess, my, dependent or however you would refer to it, but basically my spouse. And therefore she gets a OA visa, which allows for OA, multiple entry 1 year long stay visa, right? And that's going to be fantastic because for right now, and one could argue this is the last time they're finally doing it, through the emergency decree, they've pretty much been saying every 60 days, this is the last time we're extending these COVID extensions for tourist visas. And I didn't count on this at all. In fact, when they first started doing it in March of 2020, I said, okay, well, that's okay, but that probably isn't going to last. And then 60 days would go by and people would debate. And about a day like 58, 59, they would say, okay, we're extending it another 2 months. But you can't count on that, right? But this last time we got her visa extended for 2 months. And then shortly thereafter, they said, okay, we're going to extend it until September 30th, but that's the last time we're doing it. And I'm like, okay, that's fine because that works out for us. It gives us another 2 months of flexibility. And then she's going to be on my OA visa anyway. And then we'll both be officially retired, as the Thais see it, as immigration as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Labor Board or whatever over here sees it. So, and I'm more than okay with that. I have no desire to certainly punch a clock or work or do anything like that. Being on vacation suits me just fine. I will tell you though, what's neat is that and like all of you, right? I have a certain skill set that I carry around in my proverbial, emotional / mental backpack. And for me, that's, engineering and technology and internet and, radio and broadcasting and and media and everything. And so my friend who's in Pattaya, he's like, look, what am I going to do with this transmitter? I'm like, I don't know, dude. It's not like I travel with an O-scope. I can't throw this thing on a spectrum analyzer and start tweaking it, which I'm not supposed to be doing anyway. But what I can do is I have a rental car and I have a trunk. So I can take this thing for you and bring it up to the National Bureau of Telecommunications, and, or is it Bureau? I think it's board. I don't believe they use the word bureau over here. Anyway, so Robin, just whenever you have a few minutes, you could maybe call me on Messenger and then we can set a date. That would be great. Sorry for the difficulties. It's okay, man. It's just, and don't take this as a flippant response, but, I rarely have a few minutes. There's like one thing after another. And, but I will do my best to do that the next time I have a free moment to do something. I don't know why. I just, ever since I was a little kid, I've always had a to-do list. And the neat thing is that 95% of the stuff on there is incredibly pleasurable. So, and fun and enjoyable. And I like to think it adds value to at least some people in my sphere of influence. Mitch, good to see you, buddy. Good afternoon to Mike and Gracie. Gracie's over there. She says a warm hello to you as well. Can't stay for long prior commitment. I pulled over to say hello. Looking forward to a smoothie. Absolutely, buddy. And glad you connected. I'm glad that we're connected online. It'll be good to head back through there. And, the other thing too, tomorrow I was thinking, all right, okay, well, if I put it in Google basically says, okay, from the time that I leave here, based on us not needing to stop for a restroom or fuel or any degree of refreshment, 5 hours and 29 minutes door to door to get back there. And I will tell you that it is probably going to take us much longer than that. So the idea of stopping over in in Pattaya to hang out with Mitch and have a smoothie. It sounds like a great one to me. Now, you just laughed at Dave. The thing that bugs me is I just realized that, well, first of all, I don't see all the comments. They don't all display there now, do they? That kind of pisses me off. We missed Dave, sick and tired of watching me. I live the dream. You guys are looking like you're having a great time. It's awesome to watch. Yes, indeed. And Jay, good to see you, buddy. Thank you so much, by the way, for the thumbs up on the life that I get to live. It's gracious dumb luck, dude. Yeah, and absolutely, Gracie Somerville. So anyway, I'm sorry that Jay, we didn't get a was up. I don't know why it didn't show that comment of yours. And I'm also a little bummed that it didn't show Dave's, because the fact that he said I'm just sick and tired, that's just ridiculous. I'm a little disappointed I didn't read that comment either, buddy, because but for some reason it doesn't show up. Of course, they let Dennis throw in some sarcasm there all the time. Or no, wait a minute. So here it is, right? So that's crazy. So it didn't auto display on there. It was right before Robbins. Did I miss it seriously in the scroll? No, because I didn't get a was up, brother, from Jay. So I am terribly sorry for the lack of quality technology that I'm using here. That's a real bummer. I'll do the StreamYard where basically it displays every one of them, and then that way we can realize why you're 555 and Dave all up in this piece. And yes, well, I can't change your feelings, sir. All I can do is change your mood by letting you sit on a thumbtack. How's that? Really enjoyed your streams from Pattaya People Building. Brought back so many rich memories when I have first visited. When were you in Pattaya? Were you just to hang out, or were you physically there in the station? I like it up there. I'm a big fan of. Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, come on. You know what the biggest frustration for me about technical things is? When I can't rely on them. If I can rely on something to be basically broken, like I have come to rely on YouTube not having the technical competency to be able to notify all of my subscribers that click the bell and say, no, I want you to notify me when Mike goes live. And somehow they don't have the ability to hire someone from 7th grade that knows how to write a cron job on a Linux machine to say, if live, notify the dudes. Why in the world is that so difficult? I'm a big fan. Gracie's Somerville. Exactly. That's her ownership of her last name, of my last name, of our last name. Gracie's Somerville. I'll have to teach her about apostrophe S. You know what I'm a fan of is S apostrophe, because it's so efficient to do it that way. Yet for some reason, it seems the world has changed to S apostrophe S. Like that's an acceptable way of grammar now, of diction, of writing. And it just bugs me, dude. It just bugs me. Please hire a technician that's good with technology that will fix your comments. Yeah, if I only knew a good technician. Here's the thing. I have reached out to people and I'm like, okay, look, here's the API call that I need for YouTube. As I'm doing a live stream, the API is totally open and I can download all of these comments. And this is an easy thing to do because StreamYard does it and all these guys, and then you can embed it into your, so that there is software that can do that can very easily make the call to your live stream, download the comments, that sort of thing. As it downloads it, it obviously knows the name. It sees the name, and therefore it's able to display it again, just like Dennis right down there, along with his, thumbnail, basically. And I want to be able to keep track of those, such that at the end of the broadcast, I push one button, and basically it scrolls every single person that made a comment, and it thanks you. No. Like nobody can do it. And I'm like, come on, man. The concept of that is not difficult. But anyway. Robin says, I've been broadcasting from the studios quite a few times. Stood on the the 96 a few years ago. What was the breakfast show? Was that the one with Dan? I can't remember who used to do the show. Well, shoot, Robin, I had no idea that you had a history there. I knew somehow that you found me, and I believe you would attend live streams regularly there for a while. But I can't remember. I had absolutely no idea that that you had some affiliation with that. So that's cool. Yeah, so then right, that basically the only sort of studio really is the 96 studio. They can flip it and, put a different banner on the wall and make it whatever they want. But at the end of the day, that's pretty much where 96 originates from. 91.75 KISS. I gotta do a couple of things. It for no other reason than just it interests me, the way that the FCC works in every country. So I got incredibly intimate with their rules, as you might guess, in the United States. And then, of course, because of my proximity to Mexico, being broadcasting literally out of Mexico, out of a transmitter in Tijuana that, shot up the coast, I learned about the Secretaría de Telecomunicación. And so I learned about basically the Mexican FCC and some of their rules and that sort of thing. Canada is very similar to the U.S., but I know nothing about the way that it works here in Thailand other than, as a foreigner, you absolutely can own a radio station. And that's not weird. The way that they allocate frequencies is, from an engineering perspective, foolish, because based on the fact that the density, right? In other words, the number of stations that you're ever going to have, like in one market, like let's say for the sake of argument, Bangkok, right? Biggest market probably in Thailand, sorry. 8.5 million people, obviously it's very large, but the way that they allocate frequencies, it's just, the channel interference, you're just setting yourself up for failure, which they have. The other downside is because of those frequencies being way too close together, is that the stations that get licensed for, let's say, under a kilowatt, they don't really, if you don't know too, in the United States, FCC, as you might guess, as many of you know, stands for Federal Communications Commission. However, FCC, when you're an RF engineer, when you're a radio engineer, or you're a telecommunications engineer, FCC also stands for Frequency Coordinating Committee. And so you are usually, if you're a radio or television broadcast, that sort of thing engineer, you are usually aware of the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, and all of their rules. And you are usually also part of the local FCC, meaning you are also part of the local Frequency Coordinating Committee, and you basically maintain a list of all the frequencies, the power that each of those licensed frequencies can shoot out, and that sort of thing. And down here, that's done by basically the NBTC, as it is by the FCC there. But the point is that it's kind of like a gentleman's agreement where you agree that, like, okay, if your buddy is broadcasting on 96 FM and you're down in Rayong and you're like, okay, well, look, they're going to license me to broadcast on 96, but this is silly because all we're going to do is clobber each other. And then, like, right in the middle, people are going to get this beating frequency, and it's not going to sound good. And the user's going to be disappointed. And the technology that we're going to need to deploy to make sure there isn't cross-channel interference is going to be ridiculous. So unfortunately, that's the scenario of 91.75. 91.75, that frequency is used by a station north of Pattaya as well as south of Pattaya, and it's a real bummer. So anyway, I'm going to go up to the NBTC because I got to basically give them the transmitter and say, hey, look, this is my buddy's FM station down in Pattaya, and the transmitter is not operating properly. Can you bench it and basically either tell me what's wrong with it or give me a letter that I believe allows the stickers to be removed, and therefore it can be opened by an engineer, not the least of which is the guy that basically owns the company that made this transmitter. He's got an office in Bangkok, and I expect to be able to take that over to him and say, okay, here's the letter from the NBTC allowing you to open this and fix it. And then, therefore, I will, once you fix it and give it your stamp of approval, I'll then take it back to the NBTC, and they will bench it and basically throw it on a spectrum analyzer and measure the power and the cross-channel interference and that sort of thing, and be like, okay, yes, this will transmit at 91.75 FM. We're going to put stickers back on it, date it, and everything. Bam! Now you can go back down to Pattaya and hook it up to your antenna and go for it. So anyway, what I'm hoping is that I will be able to do that in short order. Neil as well. Yes, the host at the time was Danny, also from Denmark. Yeah, very cool. Well, shoot, Robin. Okay. You say you're doing You're doing voice over. Is that what you said? Because as you might guess, I'm looking for voice trackers. Now, again, this isn't for 96. This is for, this would be for, this was for Kiss. Your voiceover. Okay. So so you don't do like full shows. You basically just do like promos and sweepers and jingles and stuff like that. And commercials and reads and everything. Okay. Awesome. Great. And I knew you were in radio. I remember vividly having discussion during, I believe, one of the live streams, probably a year, maybe even a year and a half ago, Rob, when you came on and we reminisced about radio. So that's cool. Yeah, I got to tell you, man, Neil's, because, I mean, here's how my relationship with Neil's began, is about 4 years ago, I would listen to Kiss FM in San Diego. They would constantly kick off the air. And I would wait for I don't expect them to come back on. And I would listen to them on their app, like in the shower in the morning in San Diego. And it would bring back Pattaya memories because I would hear about ads for Big C and this sort of thing, and all these things. And, Nick the Pizza, and all of these like sort of places that I would frequent when I would go to Pattaya. And so it brought back good memories and kept me up on like what was going on kind of. And the music was decent, right? For me, I like EDM. I like hits. I like dance. I like, some rock and roll as well, obviously, BKK.FM. So, I reached out to them on Facebook and, Dan, who's over in the UK now, Dan Johnston, he would occasionally respond. And then there was Tino, who's more of a hip hop guy, and he's like more of a musician / DJ there in Pattaya, and he helped out, and he would occasionally, okay, yeah, we'll let him know. And then eventually it would just basically start streaming again. But sometimes it would be off the air for over a week. And I'm a radio guy, so I have interest in that. And so I was doing sort of the, I was surfing the dial. And, trying to stay in touch with, and they would be off the air for sometimes 10 days at a time. So I sent him an email. I said, look, I hope you take this with the theme or the with a grain of salt. How's that? And I don't mean to sound critical, but your station's been off the air for a while. Is there anything I can do to help? I can totally help with this remotely, So, and obviously he's not going to be like, oh, sure, some random dude. Here, tell you what, here's the username and password. Why don't you come on in? He said, yes, Mike, that's great. And then he said, here's my number if you ever want to call. So I picked up the phone. I called him a few minutes later. We talked for a little bit. Hey, I'm this radio guy. I do this, 40 years broadcasting over here, retired, chilling out, love radio. How can I help? And at the end of the day, like a lot of businesses over here, he's like, well, basically I've got zero top line revenue and all my employees are gone because whether I paid them or not, they simply couldn't afford to live in Pattaya and lost interest in living in Pattaya. And so, I couldn't, and all of the businesses that advertised with us, certainly nightclubs and that sort of thing, obviously for Kiss FM, 96 is a little different. You still need to go to Big C. You still need to do certain things if you are living in Pattaya and you want to live in, there and retire. You still have to get, goods and services. And so 96 serves those people quite well with their advertising. But 91.75, Kiss is more of a, that's a party station. And what we're trying to do is basically have the party there in Pattaya. And when you leave Pattaya, much like my experience, I would listen to the station and it would bring back the Pattaya, right? And so, good memories. So anyway, went down there, had lunch with him, and he was really, really nice. As and this goes on along with Robin, having known him. He's been really, really nice to me. He's been really, really nice to Gracie. His wife, Pookie, actually helped Gracie and I after we went and tried to get married on a Monday. And the Ampua in Bangkok basically said no. And in fact, you can't get married anywhere in Thailand. Pookie said, well, why don't you try this Ampua down here, district office, effectively, in Banglamun. And so we headed down there, which is, I don't know, probably just 10 miles shy of getting down to Pattaya. Went down there with my buddy Dana and his wife, and we were able to get married the following day. And Pookie was a huge instigator of that solution, and so she has been very wonderful to us. And so anyway, so I like working with. I don't work. I like hanging out with Neil's and talking radio and that sort of thing. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to be able to I'm going to be able to encourage some of my buddies that don't necessarily want to do the job they're doing here in Thailand now, but want to stay in Thailand and have a work permit and be able to work legally and be able to, add value to the community and make a decent living, and I believe that radio affords that. And so anyway, we're going to be able to do that. So that's, I think that's the good future. DJ having his own shows. I just use voiceover here on my iPad because I'm blind. Okay, so remind me, if I just have regular Windows software, does the Windows operating system have basically a setting for the blind inside of it such that all of the things, all of like the knobs and stuff that someone with sight can see and click on, those get read to you by Windows, and therefore you can navigate around just the thing? Or does that software need to be specifically designed for the visually impaired? And therefore, if it's not, then you simply can't use it, right? Because I fear that the latter is the reality, unfortunately. And if that's the case, then that bums me out, because the software that I'm using, that I purposely, basically switch the station over to, it's called Play It Live, or it's called Play It Software. Play It Live is their, automation system online, or rather that you install in your machine, and then you use their remote voice tracking software. So that's what I sadly did not think to myself, well, you know what, we're going to need to have this for blind DJs. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, there's not, if you think about radio, I mean, it's painting the picture of awesome with your voice, not with your. So anyway, so that's too bad that, but I can also understand the 80-20 rule if you're a software development company and you're like, okay, well, what are the chances of people is it going to be more than 20% of our, slightly, maybe not. So anyway, I'll tell you what, here's the deal, Robin. Obviously we will talk in the future, but if you and anyone listening, actually now live or, in the future, if you have the ability to be a DJ on the radio, I would prefer to not have to teach someone how to be a DJ. But again, it's it can be very fun, but also it's for KISS or for BKK.FM. So therefore, respectively, it's EDM. If you have a knowledge of electronic dance music, or at least dance, I was on both BKK.FM and KISS FM doing a 70s at 7, 80s at 8, and 90s at 9. The sweepers and promos for that actually never materialized, and I said, all right, I need to move on to different things. So I actually am totally removing the 70s at 7 from KISS, because that's just a completely irrelevant, genre and format for the KISS FM format. 80s and 90s, that makes sense, but nonetheless. 70s at 7, 80s at 8, 90s at 9, definitely on BKK.FM. And then on BKK.FM, because of the relationships that are sort of expanding out of both my relationship with the station in Bangkok as well as the station in Pattaya, I'm adding a couple of those shows to BKK.FM. So for example, Planet Perfecto with Paul Oakenfold. I've been a huge fan of Paul Oakenfold for years. And when I found out that his show was available, and again, all this stuff, all you got to do is just basically say, yeah, I'm licensing, or I'm broadcasting it. Here are the times that I'm broadcasting it, and here's the potential reach. They don't cost anything. You just need to be accountable and say, yeah, I'm doing this then. So I added a bunch of those to BKK.FM, but again, I haven't had time to get my voice guy, my BKK.FM Bangkok. He out of Salt Lake City. He hasn't been able to voice himself. And that reminds me, I got to do that. So that's another thing on my to-do list that's probably going to sadly preempt me having a few minutes to be able to call Robin. Crap. But anyway, needs to be done. I recycle these to the best of my ability, meaning that I give them to a blue bin somewhere within Thailand. And ideally, when they end up there, someone is accountable enough and in charge of that bin. And they, so I'm doing this a couple of places, 7 actually. So we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, we're live on the BKK.FM channel, obviously livemyassoff.com, Live My Ass Off on YouTube as well as Facebook. And there's a couple of other things where I'm streaming, a couple of other locations where I'm streaming, because I simply want to do that. And the other reason I do it is because even though you guys are not watching on the YouTube channel of bkk.fm, all of these comments that we're displaying on the screen, but there aren't enough for me to do that. And I'd prefer to give you as much Gulf of Thailand as I possibly can. They should be redisplaying via the Restream bot. That's another feature that broadcasting in the browser here using Restream.io. Ain't that gorgeous? That's pretty awesome, right? Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm a big fan. Mike, why in the world would you stay in a condo like that? So, but what I also know is coming, and I can see over my right shoulder, is quite soon there will be rain. And that'll go on through the night, which is fine, you know. But there's been some flooding here. And in fact, when Gracie and I went all the way down to Lonely Beach, probably about 10% of it, our tires were in at least, probably 4 to 5 inches of water. And in fact, going up some of those hills, if you guys have been here and you've been down the south and you're familiar with the hills as well as the windy hills. And, to Mitch, who's been down in Phuket, and any of you guys that have been down to Phuket, and you've, rented a motorbike and you've cruised around or gone up to Millionaire Mile, or you've been just north of, there. Oh, so here we go. So one of the places that I stream on is Twitch. And thank you, Jay. I find it quite interesting. It may not be interesting for others, but I do find it quite interesting. So what does this person say from... okay. Want to become famous? Buy followers, primes, and viewers on bigfollows.com. Wow. Guys, I am so popular on Twitch that the only people that pay attention and comment to me are bots. Bigfollows.com. Anyone watching, if you guys want to basically cheat the system and exchange money for followers, especially on Twitch, apparently, I would encourage you to go to bigfollows.com. So isn't technology great that basically it's unable, like all of us looked at this and we're like, okay, that's a bot or it's some fake account or whatever, basically trying to sell us followers. But of course, Dave's comment, and it doesn't take a whole lot of IO. It doesn't take a whole lot of AI to basically scrape my account and scrape Dave's account and be like, okay, these guys have been Facebook friends forever. They interface with each other. Mike comments on his live streams. He comments on Mike's live streams. All of that data, very easy to get to, actually. And it says, oh, well, we should definitely let this thing get back there. But no. Yes, I know you're back, Dave, and I definitely wanted to acknowledge you coming back. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're back. I was in the fetal position earlier, actually, when you were gone. Just ask anybody else here. P-Mark, hello. Please get rid of that ugly orange shirt. It hurts the lens. I know, but you know what's really cool about this shirt? Is I bought this shirt for like $6, and clearly it's worth $7. So suck it. And I also know where to get infinitely better shirts, which is from my buddy Earth in Bangkok. And I usually travel with 6 or 7 of those. I threw this on because I wanted to offend as many Thai people as possible. And clearly, mission accomplished. P-Mac, what does that mean? Because I know that I'm trying to think. Dana, my buddy Dana, who is furrier than a grizzly, his nickname, I believe, is P-My. I can't mean, and of course, when I heard P-My, I just thought that he has a urinary tract infection, but I wasn't quite sure how that translated. Dude, if you get to the bottom of the barrel for options, I would love to run my motor mouth on radio, but I'm a trucker, so I work on PG content. Ooh, there you go. So what's that? I assume you have had 0 delta in your work schedule. In fact, if nothing else, you've probably been offered more jobs to move stuff around the United States. I mean, dude, I talk about, yeah, good for you, man. And that's probably really good for you. But yeah, no, I need someone who, like, if I can be like, okay, so just install this software and then hook up your microphone and make sure that there's no feedback. Make sure you've got a mix minus installed. And they're like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that. So that would be great. Hello, Mark. Thank you for saying hello to Dave. I really appreciate it. Streaming a single in he geriatrics Dave. Dave's not geriatric. Oh, see, you got to acknowledge. Well, Mitch just pulled over to the side of the road. Mitch is very busy. Mitch is very busy in Pattaya. I have a male friend who is incredibly busy in Pattaya. What great stories about Thailand don't begin with that one. That and, oh my God, I met a girl from a bar in Pattaya. I mean, the comedy writes itself, right? Otherwise, who in the hell would subscribe to American in Bangkok? God, I haven't watched a video from Scott in forever. I am certain that he's producing videos, and I believe his live streams are wildly popular. But met him once over in the mall Bangkapi. Actually, there's a Starbucks over there that if you watch him regularly, you probably know that he frequents, although he used to. Maybe he doesn't anymore because of COVID. So let me tell you something about Koh Chang. First of all, I really like it here. Oh, okay, cool. I'm actually very interested in that. Line haul, get to go home every day. You've had Corona twice, bro? Oh my God. I mean, I hope you're okay. I mean, I assume if you're typing and you type LOL, then that is the medical diagnosis of, no, dude, I'm good. So anyway, that's kind of shitty. But anyway, so what do we got going on here with P Mock? Auntie Jibs call her lovely bear P Me. Loved your daily videos. Curious my missing Thailand fan. So you mentioned that, P Mock, and I want to thank you very much for watching and commenting regularly. But you mentioned that you're missing Thailand, and so naturally I'm curious where you are, because I mean, if you're not in Thailand, then naturally I'm very curious where a Thai person is if they're outside of Thailand. Because it's been my experience that, it's not like to translate the OFW program that basically exists in the Philippines. I don't see it really existing over here in Thailand. The government isn't like, okay, well, we just absolutely cannot pay or take care of our citizens well enough. So therefore, we need to put a paradigm in place where our citizens can get jobs in other countries and then send their money back home. But while, taking care of their families, but, we'll have and so it seems like, Thailand is more like, okay, well, additionally, I think one could argue, you guys are probably in agreement with me on this, that most Thais that you meet, they don't mind traveling. But again, most of them, i.e. at least 51%, most of them are like, yeah, I mean, that would be interesting. I wouldn't mind leaving Thailand and checking it out for a little bit. But the majority of the ones that I meet are like, yeah, but I don't want to move away forever. I'm going to come back here, right? And I mean, shoot. Whereas in the Philippines, they seem a little bit more open to it. Now, their family connection doesn't go away. That's for sure. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that Gracie's still very close with her family, and that I'm becoming close with her family. And her daughter is effectively my daughter, as far as I'm concerned. Urice is a Somerville, like it or not. She's also going to be an engineer, like it or not. But anyway, so PMOX, so thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, well, it's good. I'm glad you're good, dude. Now, naturally, I have I'm curious whether your vaccination kept. Hey, how you doing? Do you want to pull up I have two microphones.
No, it's okay.
It's okay. Why is it okay? How you doing?
I thought you weren't live right there. Nice view.
It is a nice view. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to get the view and me. But yeah, it looks really nice right now. The sun's out. So yeah, so Gracie's hanging out. She's been playing games with her sister online since we've been here. And, oh, okay, so like what's going on here? Super stuck down south Malaysia. Wish could escape to Penang. Oh, okay, so you're in Malaysia, but you can't even get to Penang, or is it Penang or Penang? I think it's Penang. I know it's Da Nang and not Da Nang, which I thought was weird. But the whole Ang thing, I'm used to saying Ang. Being here in Asia, but yeah. So Gracie and I went to Penang, and I'll just pronounce it for sake of argument. And it was prior to COVID, So therefore, there was sort of the regular number of people there. And we were there, I believe, during a high season because it was me having a break from, or it might have been March. I don't even remember. Honey, do you remember when we were in Malaysia? Did we go there like basically over my winter break? I can't remember, but we did. When did we go to Penang, Malaysia? Was that like a Christmas time thing, or was it a? It was like December, January. Busy time. Okay, yeah. So it was busy, and so therefore it was kind of like, okay, well, it was a real experience, and we didn't particularly like it. Langkawi, on the other hand, the smaller island, that was more our speed. I really liked it down there. But I mean, now, are you stuck in Malaysia because you're working in Malaysia, or were you just down there like for the weekend and then COVID hit and now you can't come back to Malaysia? Because I mean, P Mark, I'm going to go with I'm assuming you're Thai. And if that's the case, then, as far as I know, you can get a reparation flight. But anyway, regardless, thank you for coming by. I really appreciate everybody that comes by, but it's neat having someone who is, potentially pretty damn well versed in Thailand. It's just, I certainly don't need to watch, some bald white expat over here saying, well, I know how they do things here. I'm familiar with the NBTC. I know how to spell NBTC. Oh, I got a question for you, PMOC. So PTT, the gas station, as you might guess, when Gracie and I refer to it, we call it PTT. But I don't believe that's the correct pronunciation for it, meaning that it stands for something in Thai. And so therefore, as a Thai person, you would refer to that as the Thai characters for PTT. But I don't know. So anyway, so we refer to it as PTT, but I remember actually Jib gave me crap about that because she said, oh, no. We refer to it as he about that, or however she just said it. But I don't know. Now, that said, if I run into the average Thai person on the road and I say PTT, I'm quite certain they'll point me to the gas station. Let me just check on. So, wow, I'm getting a lot of notifications about Ethereum and Bitcoin going down, which is kind of okay because basically my big coin that I pay attention to is XYO. And that's that's gone down like 25% in the last 2 days. So, but Bitcoin's down to 45, Ethereum's at 33. I literally have $3.49 of Ethereum. No, I rolled the majority, or literally all, with the exception of one, all of my altcoin. I moved that into Bitcoin a while ago. And then I was given a bunch of XYO. XY is a company out of San Diego that I am invested in as far as giving them money for an expectation that their company will do good things. And then I also have a large number of their actual coin, which is XYO. And they're kind of they're a location-based company, right? So like they use sort of contracts to be like, okay, you're here and you're really here, and here's how we can prove it because of our blockchain technology, and it's kind of neat. Got attacked by monkeys on Langkawi. Okay, where were there monkeys when we were on Langkawi? I don't know if Gracie's still listening, but she could probably answer that. Langkawi. Were they on the? I don't remember them being at the beach. The markets, I don't remember them being there. Were they on the gondola that you go up the hill on, and at the top of that? Maybe that's what it was. Anyway, P-Bach, I'm bummed that you wish you could escape to Penang and you can't get there. That's a drag. Not being able to go where you want to go is a real bummer. Have you been to Bohol? Yes, we have. So we did the whole Chocolate Hills thing. We were very touristy and did that. It was entertaining. What is the name of the? It just came and went, just in one and out the other. The beach that is on Bohol, that's on the south side, is very touristy. Anyway, we were down there. It was okay. Tagbilaran, right? It's near there. Anyway, so yeah, we went over there, and there's probably only about 5 islands that I've been to. Capiz is where Gracie lives, and so I met her in Boracay, and her family is from Hamindan, Rojas, near there. And we've also been to Palawan, where I got deathly ill. Like literally, and in the sense that there is a slight chance, but absolutely a possibility, a very low probability, but a possibility that I could have died because I believed that my diarrhea and my incredible dehydration that I was having for probably almost 2 days in a row, I just figured it was bad food. I didn't realize that it was actually amoebiosis that I got from drinking stale, effectively, water that was in this pool on this island we stayed at. And so I didn't really sort of take it probably as seriously as I should have. And then at the sort of last minute, went to a local clinic, which was pretty, they were okay in helping me calm down and believe that I didn't have appendicitis amidst my sort of desire to say, hey, look, what's it going to cost me for you to rip my appendix out right now? And I'm glad they looked at me like, no, don't even. But they didn't have the ability to sort of treat me with the intensity that was needed, i.e. a higher level of antibiotics. So we then went back to Puerto Princesa, the bigger place. So we've been there. And Palawan was great. We went to a bunch of places on there. And that was book. I'm about to jump on Ethereum. Buy it right now? Okay. Really? So your belief is that it's going to go well above 3,300? I believe you believe that. Good. Hey, Chris, good to see you, man. I was thinking about you naturally because I'm like, hey, it's actually daylight where Chris is. Maybe he'll stop on by. So thanks for coming by, man. Always great to see you. Always great to see you. Always great to hear from you. Always great to laugh with you. It's on a whack back. Kenny Rogers Roasters. Got it. That's where you got attacked by monkeys. I'm like, how funny. Oh, that's weird. Hello, Chris. Dang, man, I can't wait to go to the Philippines and meet Margot. Oh, my God. Well, yeah, I mean, Gracie and I were apart for approximately 378 days. Not that I was counting, but yeah, a year, effectively a year. So, Jay, okay, I know this is going to sound potentially juvenile, but I also actually have a morbid curiosity. Truckers, do you guys still use the CB radio in a very similar way that you used to, in the sense that you talk to one another and get information and find out how to get from point A to point B with the least amount of impedance? Do you still use handles? Do you still say breaker 19? Do you still use the 40 analog channels, or is it all digital now? Has massive transmit ability. You can use multipath to get it to go further. You don't have to. And do you guys have CB radios? I'm very curious to know if that's still the way that you guys communicate. Or are you just no, we have voice to text and it just texts my buddies and we're all on a chat group and we do it that way. Don't like Aussie. Good to know. Thanks for letting us know. Right on, Dennis. Pinoy. Mm-hmm. Do you want your Jack Daniels? I used to drink a significant amount of Jack Daniels. Not as much as I drank Southern Comfort. I drank an enormous amount of Southern Comfort. Not so much as some do. Oh, really? Okay. And okay, you don't have a CB in your truck. Okay, so you basically just use your phone like all of us do. You communicate with whoever you want to communicate, but it's never a shotgun magic approach where it's hey, all truckers in front of me, dude, this is bad news. What should I potentially take another route? Or are you no, Google Maps routes me around a local thing and I can find a better way there because it turns the road red and therefore it gives me alternate solutions. That's kind of interesting. Definitely a smoothie. Oh, dude, I can't wait. I'm so ready for the smoothie. Not the least of which is Mariano's over here now, dude, so we can totally kick it with him. And I've got his line now, so I can totally blow up his phone. Been a nice day, mate. Broke the containment lines and drove 150 odd kilometers into the country, but don't tell anyone. I promise I won't. The good news is only 5 people are actually watching this right now, and very few actually watch me on the replay. So, secret's safe with the cool kids table, amigo. No worries, Mark. Main reason is lockdowns. Can't pass by land border. I love my Thai train rides. Oh, man, I'm a huge fan of my Thai train rides. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about a lot of things, and actually, I'm looking back on the last year, right? Because there was so many things that I did when Gracie was not here, and the neat thing about it being an entire year is I'm like, okay, well, that's just easy. Like the minute Gracie gets here, we'll just repeat all of the cool things that I did last year, remove the things that didn't add a whole lot of value, like going to Ayutthaya. That was not. I mean, honestly, the best thing about going to Ayutthaya was the train ride up there and the train ride back. I got there and I did not find the people pleasant, and there wasn't a lot to do, at least in my experience, from walking where I was. Again, it was out of total ignorance, and I was there by myself. But the point is that I get to many places by myself with total ignorance of the location, and I just walk a kilometer, and I'm in level of enjoyment. Pratchap Curry Khan is a great example. Cha'am, another place that like literally take the train, get off there, walk to the beach. And it's like I can find a dozen things within less than an hour that I find pleasurable, be it a night market or hanging out on the beach and staring at my foot and doing nothing. So anyway, a lot of crap talk on there. Yeah, I guess I don't remember. I do remember that overall it was pretty self-policing. Now, the last time I used a CB radio was during my drive from Boston to San Diego when I basically moved there when I was 20. So that was 1989. And I used it basically to listen to other truckers talking about, because I drove cross country in the winter. And so when I was in places like Utah and Colorado and even Indiana, there was discussion around, like, hey, if you're on Route 75, actually that would be north-south, wouldn't it? On Route 40, right, then you're going to need to, redirect and do this. So that was hugely helpful. I also felt some degree of sort of safety because I figured if I'd as a 20-year-old kid, I just throw it on, 19 and be like, hey, breaker 19, like I need some help. I'm over here. I'm in the Volkswagen, a white Volkswagen. Is there anybody you can, I didn't have the ability to flip open something and dial 911. I had to actually like get off the road and do something to get, so that was, so you guys just use your phone. Makes sense. The older generation, fear of flying. Really? And so there is a generation of Thais, like the older generation of Thais has a fear of flying. That's interesting. I'm sorry to hear that because I know exactly how you feel. Because when I started flying, it was over the continental United States. The first time I flew over a big body of water in a silver tube at 600 miles an hour, and there was turbulence. Believe me, I just, stomach in your throat kind of, like, okay, I didn't sign up for this. Is there any way I can pay extra and get into a different pod that is like, not going to have any turbulence? And no, sir, I'm sorry. Would you like more cranberry juice? Was usually the response I got. But yeah. So the land borders, you can't get. So from Malaysia, you cannot get into Thailand on a land border. Yeah, I'm trying to think how many land borders are there down there. Probably like what, 4 main ones? Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, you made it over. That's excellent. Yeah, I had no idea that he was like down in Phuket, and it was down there for 3, almost 4 weeks before I even like communicated with him. And even today, I said, "Hey, dude." He said, "Hey, Mike, great, thanks for the Koh Chang videos and stuff." And I said, "Well, is one island living dude do another?" And he says, "Oh yeah, after a month on Phuket, I'm now in Pattaya." And I'm like, "Awesome, dude. We're driving right past Pattaya to get back to Bangkok in a few days. We'll swing by and we'll double click on a smoothie." So yeah. My question: have you seen the beach for Pattaya floating by? Yeah, I know, right? Remember when they like put all the sand there and they're all done, right? It's like what, maybe a year and a half ago. spent all this money, and then this big rainstorm comes and all the sand went. They did a much better job of it this time. They actually installed drainage over the last, basically, they started it probably just before, I think. So last time I was down there to like do something was January of 2020. I was there for a conference at that. Oh, well, what's it called? It's the hotel that's shaped like a boat, the bow of the boat, kind of like up the street from Hard Rock. So anyway, so I was up there, like Soy 3, Soy 4. And they were putting in drainage that I would estimate was probably about an 18-inch diameter pipe that they were putting in effectively. I mean, sometimes it was just a trough, but still able to handle that much water, right? And so no, I haven't seen the beach, but maybe we'll cruise by Beach Road on the way back. Yeah, back when it was that, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure you had it back then too. Yeah, for the safety. Don't worry, the cool kids never snitch. Absolutely, dude. We will not let anybody know that you're cruising down here. Good. Chest bump for Mark and Chris. Captain Morgan Black was my poison. My mixer in it was more Captain Morgan. Happy to say no longer. So, yeah, I get you, Dennis. So that was funny. People used to be like, so what do you used to drink your Southern Comfort with? I'm like, another bottle of Southern Comfort. And they're like, wait, more than one bottle? I said, oh, dude, Jesus. I used to drink 5 bottles of 100 proof Southern Comfort a night. So here's what was funny. I remember, and again, I'm in a group where people who say that to other people who are in my group are like, yeah, I know, 4 to 5 bottles. I mean, and the pain just wouldn't go away, right? That was the that was the downside. But I remember saying it to a buddy of mine who's not an alcoholic and who never drank that much, except maybe like once or twice in college, and then got so drunk and threw up so badly he did the standard statement of a person who's not an alcoholic, which is, ugh, never doing that again. Yeah, right. I never said I'm never doing that again, except till the last time I did it, and then I never did it again. But I remember just saying that to him one time. Yeah, 3, 4, 5 bottles on Saturday, and he's like, "Wow, that's a lot of sugar." I'm like, right, the excessive amount of sugar in the alcohol content that I was the massive volume of alcohol that I was consuming. The sugar, that's what made me unemployable. That's what it was, and unable to tell the truth. It was the damn sugar. But yeah, Captain Morgan. Yeah. Shadows box Patty Doyle's on potato mashed. So, oh yeah, he did like a boxing thing. Dana did that, didn't he? I don't know. I saw that there was like Patty Doyle versus. It's funny. We drove by Patty's Pub. In fact, like right across the street is a second Patty's Pub. I should probably go out there and take a selfie of it and send it to Sack of Potatoes, Patty Doyle. Hello, Andy. Thank you for stopping by, man. Really appreciate it. That's so cool. I'm curious, other than the fact that I don't do live streams regularly, and it was probably a shock when you got the notification, or you believed it was a lie based on the last time I tried to do it and completely screwed it up. I set this thing, and I was going to go live at like 1 p.m. or something like that. And I get back from this meeting in Bangkok, and I think I got home at like 3 or something like that. And Gracie goes, and this is like 2 hours, probably almost 3 hours after I had scheduled this live stream and completely didn't mean to. I get home, and Gracie's like, so when are you going live? I'm like, what? I said, I thought I screwed that up. She goes, no, Joe's still on here. 3 hours. He's like making all these comments. Oh my God, dude, I'm so sorry. So yes, I figured out how to go live correctly. Thank you for being patient, ladies and gentlemen. And but that's cool. Nani, you watching? I really appreciate it. It's like totally cool, man. Welcome to the cool kids table. This is as good as it gets. My softbox here, I'm a little disappointed with it because it's reflecting off of the chrome that is oh so common. The clouds are coming in above me, right over not here above me, but in front of me where you can't see. Over my back, it's looking quite nice still, and those are cool waves. Since we got here, this is about the quietest it's been. How cool is that.com, right? I mean, that is just, I just really, really dig it. This is a really cool place. And Okay, you know what I don't like so far about Koh Chang is that there are a ton. Here's what I like about Koh Chang. There are a ton of resorts right on the beach, and you can stay at them for a very reasonable price, even the ones that are like 4-star, even 5-star, meaning that a 5-star resort on the beach on a bungalow is like less than $200 a night in high season when there's no COVID. And now it's like, 40, $50. And you can walk right out and you can get on the beach and you can go for long walks on various beaches that are here. White Beach probably being the longest of a contiguous amount of, regardless, there's no beach yet that we found other than the coffee shop, basically where we stayed last night. And that wasn't a whole lot of sand. That was just water, rocks. There's no like public beaches where you can just like pull up. Like every single time I wanted to, like, I put a beach in Google Maps and it's taken us there. The driving it instructs me to do is into private property. It's into a private resort. And I'm going, okay, so you've got zero top line revenue. And I show up ready to go into your resort, potentially spend money, potentially stay there. I'm a friggin' foreigner. So I'm not like just tooling, like I need a place to stay. And you're like, oh, are you staying here at the resort? Not now, dude. Bye-bye. So it bothers me that I can't just like, one of the things I love about Thailand, like Cham, great example, right? You just cruise down Beach Road like it used to be in Pattaya. It's not any longer. And I get it because of the density of people, but like Cham is a great example. Cruising down Beach Road, and it's a one-way road right along the beach. And you just pull off into the dirt up on the sidewalk. You park your car, and you get out and you don't even lock it. You just, and you're under palm trees and stuff. And for $6 you can get a pair of chairs and sit underneath an umbrella and look out over this all freaking day long. Go for a walk on the beach or park your car like down some side soy and then walk across, and then public beach everywhere. But here, for whatever reason, they've decided, well, let's allow developers to build their resorts right up to the beach. And the only way people are going to be able to access this beach is either by literally a little, like in other words, less than my wingspan across path to physically walk to the beach, like between 7-Eleven and the next t-shirt shop, or the first 7-Eleven and the next 7-Eleven. You can only walk there. But you can't just like pull up when it's raining, and I get it that you don't design a place for shitty weather. You design it for good weather and how you're going to basically satisfy the tourists that come during then. But you can't just like pull up with in a car, AC on, windows down a little bit, and have an ice cream or get some som tom and eat it like in your head. So that's really a bummer. I mean, that is a real bummer that I didn't really sort of think about. There's two types of islands that basically Gracie and I have gone to or go to. And those are ones that you get to on a ferry that's people only. And the other ones are the ones where you get to them via a car ferry, which also holds people. So, the car ferry, right? People, Koh Phangan, Koh Samui, Koh Lanta, you basically drive on. And I mean, there's a ferry, right? And then you drive. But, and then there's the smaller ones, right? So to get to like Koh Kut from here, it would be a boat, smaller boat. Whereas like Koh Chang, it's a ferry, right? And so meaning when you get there, you rent a motorbike, and usually these islands are small enough where you can't rent a car. Koh Samui, obviously, very easy to rent a car. Just get off the airport, bam, go to Hertz, have success. That was a mosquito. I don't have Tourette's. So anyway, we're here on one of these take the ferry over with your car islands. And so therefore I haven't designed our trip such that we're going to like take our motorbike and park it on the side of the road and just, maybe even leave the keys in it and just walk to the beach and then walk on the beach. And, if we were here and it was bright and sunny, and that would probably be no big deal. But I will say, I really, I'm a little disappointed in the foresight that they had when they were allocating construction permits effectively and saying, yes, you can build your beach absolutely right up to the beach, up to the water's edge. And the general public will effectively not feel welcome to come there, nor will they be able to park there. So that's a little bit of a bummer. That's one of the things I really like about Florida is they have a ton of public places where you can park and go to the beach. Now, the parking's not free, and I get that, because again, it's like, well, are you really going to use tax dollars to pay for the parking lots that not everybody uses? Like if you're living in Orlando and you're paying state taxes, should that money go to well, no, we should probably only charge the people at the parking lots that use the parking lots. Okay, that's fair. I get it. But I really love that about Florida, man. You can do, and I love that about a lot of Thailand. Seagull issues there. I do not have seagull issues, actually. I haven't seen seagulls regularly in Thailand. Now, pigeons, there are a lot of pigeons in Thailand, usually away from the water. And they're a little bit annoying, or their poop is a little bit annoying. The actual bird doesn't bug me at all. It's the pigeon discharge that bugs me. Short version of the story is how I connected with you years ago. Ah, very nice. Good. That's very cool. My last name is Somerville, right? If we're connected on Facebook. And so there were people that were Somervilles and they started, connecting with each other on Facebook. And then there's this one guy, there always is someone who takes the leadership role, right? So there's this one guy who's taken on the Somerville clan Facebook page. And so he has actually a family newsletter that he puts out. He's really engaged. It's neat. Anyway, so one of the Somervilles posted, I think, just publicly on Facebook, but we're connected because we're Somervilles, right? And he posted about how, he just recently has found God and this sort of thing. And God's been taking care of him the whole time because he's been using drugs and alcohol. And his belief is that, God has saved him and now he's going to be able to stay sober. And I said, well, I believe you believe that. That's great for today. I said, but, I would encourage you to find a daily solution of success that may involve praying to God once a day. I don't know. It might, but, from my lens of 29 years, 3 months and, 7 days, but who's counting, of sobriety, I don't count the days, but I make the days count. Having a support group is critical. Having a guy, you need to have a guy for everything. You need a laundry guy, you need a house cleaning guy, you need a transmission guy, you need a headphone guy. A lot of times these guys are Lazada, that give me I have an electronics guy, I have a order me stuff online guy. But I need a friend, a big time recovery friend. And we define recovery friend as someone who's willing to save your ass before they save your face. They don't really care how good you look. They care if you're going to die. And my personal experience is that when trying to get clean and sober, you need somebody basically that you can call at 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 in the morning. And after the first time doing it, you realize that you don't need to begin the conversation with dude, I'm really sorry it's so late, but I need to talk to you. The person sees you on the phone and they answer the phone and says, hey, what's going on? Yeah, I'd like some water. What are you having? Yeah, it's 4:13. I've been going for, it's 1 hour and 23 minutes. Make a wish. Boom. There you go. I have this type of OCD I have. I like numbers in the consecutive order. And whenever that occurs, I make a wish. So at 12:34, I make a wish. At 1 hour and 23 minutes of streaming, I make a wish. At 4:56 p.m., wish. That is how my OCD materializes. If you beers guy, what does you choose to have than a smoothie? Oh, yeah, well, I'm not a beer guy. Smoothies, I prefer mango. However, as many of you probably realize, in Thailand, they actually have fruit seasons. Thanks, honey. 10 baht. Best solution ever. Cool, refreshing water. What do we got going on for Dennis? Approximately 5 years ago, accidentally seen a video of you. I'm sorry. Who is this crazy a-hole, raving, laughing, crying? That's right. Appreciating life, walking the beach in Vietnam, discussing recovery. He gets me. Yeah, you probably saw me at one of my first Southeast Asian gratitude attacks. Hopefully I didn't have a whole lot of snot running out of my nose at the time. So finally, somebody gets me. Thank you, Mike. If I didn't say it before, you've said it many times, Dennis, and you are ridiculously welcome. You have no idea. You made my day more than I've made yours. From my perspective, the inverse is probably quite accurate as well. Puedo comer un taco rápido porque tengo mucho hambre. Qué bueno. Mi español no es perfecto, Bodo, pero practicando cuando es posible. Claro que sí, claro que sí. Más o menos. Menos. Yes, I had a business in Mexico, formed it in Ensenada, Baja California, and then moved it to Mexico City, meaning that the management of it was moved to Mexico City. I had a guy for that. I had a guy that had a guy. I had a guy that had guys. So I had guys to manage the thing out of Mexico City. Distro Federal. Mexico City, DF. I went to Mexico City once for the business, and so I'm staying there, and the guy drives me back to the airport after we had a meeting with Alestra, which is basically AT&T in Mexico, because the monopoly of Telmex doesn't particularly like to compete with global companies, and so therefore AT&T formed Alestra. So it's like, oh, now we're not competing with AT&T. We should be good. It lasted about 3 years. Like, they're going to figure it out, dude. Carlos Slim is one of the richest men in the world, and he didn't get there by being stupid. I believe that we can credit Carlos Slim for the prepay paradigm of cell phones. I believe that he was the guy. I don't know this for a fact, but at least it's how it showed up in my brain, how it showed up in my windscreen, is that Carlos Slim said, you know what? We're going to introduce cellular service here in Mexico, but nobody in Mexico, the average person in Mexico, could never afford a landline. So they've never had a telephone. And so to get those people to basically sign up for a cell phone and have a post-pay paradigm where we basically send them an invoice and then they pay it for fear of social anxiety or for fear of not having the connection there any longer. But we're never going to be able to get the phones back if they try and get, if we basically lease them the phones, which is effectively the way it works in the United States. You lock it to a carrier, right? I believe Carlos Slim was the guy that said, well, listen, we're going to prepay it. People are going to come in. They're going to give us like $50, and then they'll use $50 worth of, or they'll probably give them 50 pesos, and they'll use that amount of time online to text and SMS initially. And then they transitioned into data. They didn't do a whole lot of 2G. Once 3G showed up, oh my God, it exploded in Mexico. But he's the guy that I believe was the, hey, we're going to, and then people are like, you're crazy. We got to have to invoice. Well, people in the United States, of course, they were just used to that paradigm forever. And the prepay, no way. People are never going to go for that. Fast forward to about 5 years later, and the entire world is prepaying cell. So crazy, right? So that's my little Mexico story. Nice. The Mexican language still working in that noggin. Yeah, kind of. I will say that it takes me probably by day 3. Cuando estoy en Mexico. See, I don't know how to conjugate it properly. When in Mexico, it takes me about 3 days. Sí se puede. Sí se puedo. Sí se puedo. Yes, it's possible. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. But yeah, it's wow. Okay. Also, I was introduced to Spanish in like junior high, and then picked it up a little bit, and then in New England, so many of my friends like took French as a second language, and I'm like, I do not see going to France for one. Secondly, going up to Montreal, that is a non-interesting province to me, and my whole family's Canadian. We were from Toronto, British Columbia, that sort of. I'm like, if I'm going to go north, I'll probably end up going to northeast in Nova Scotia, and yeah, they'll know some French there, but for the most part, not going to Quebec. So I did Spanish, and thank God I did, because I moved to San Diego, right? So it was very useful, and I picked it up pretty quickly. But then, man, doing business in Mexico again after about 2 to 3 days down there, like immersing, and with the exception of Mexico City, because of course I show up in Mexico City, right? And I'm staying right there at the well, at the time it was a Sheraton right there in Distrito Federal, but it was what's that big? I forgot the name of the statue. Anyway, it's like this big rotary statue in the center of Mexico City, right next to the U.S. Embassy. Okay, and there's a Starbucks. So I go downstairs and I go into the Starbucks. Guys speaking Spanish to, of course, every single person in front of me, and I walk out. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm like, que onda, way, and he's like, hey, dude, what do you want? And I'm like, oh, man, come on. I want to speak. I want to practice my Spanish. Necesito practicando mi español, amigo. He's like, where are you from? I'm like, no. Donde, dude? Double click on some donde. But no, white guy. He knows English. Let's talk down to him in his native tongue. Yeah, but it takes a while. The accent isn't there, and I totally miss like verbs and So anyway, but it's a neat language, and it's super. I'll tell you what, I didn't realize how simple Spanish was until I moved to Thailand. Holy crap, Thai is difficult, man. It is very difficult. Now, to be fair, when I look at the sentence structure and that sort of thing, actually, technically, it's quite simple, right? In other words, like the way that you can say something in English. Like I could walk up to someone and say, hey, do you like these chrome railings? Yeah, I mean, I kind of dig them. I'm not really into them, but I mean, it's kind of okay. Like, for example, I might like it if it was a little shinier, but whereas in Thailand, it's like, do you like these? It's like, oh, shop mark. Like much. Like a lot. And none of this like, I like no articles, no, oh, I like that a lot. I like that quite a bit. Yeah, that's quite nice. That's very pleasurable to me. Shop mark. It's like, and shop, it's not, it doesn't matter, male, female, none of that. It's just like singular, plural, past, present, it's, but I don't know the damn words, and the tones are an absolute mystery to me. But I will tell you that, I mean, the Mexicans are nice, but the Thais, they're the nicest people on the planet. And again, this is locational, right? If you're in a big city in Mexico, if you're in a big city in the United States, New York City, Boston, that's Miami, the people are less friendly if you're in the smaller city, but it's also dependent upon the location. I mean, San Diego's a big city, but the people are nicer in San Diego than they are in Boston. Okay. However, if you're in Coronado, the people in San Diego are jerks. You're in Coronado, you walk down the street, you look up at somebody and you smile and you say hello. Totally normal behavior. You walk in Coronado, for example, and you're driving in Coronado with your windows down, and someone walks across the street and doesn't look and just walking across, or some bicycle walks across the street, and you don't slow down and you beep, and you beep. You're like, what are you doing? Get the hell out of my God, you're gonna get run over. You don't do that in Coronado. People that walk in Coronado, people that ride their bikes in Coronado. That's how you live in Coronado. It's a culture of Coronado. It's pseudo island living, even though technically it's an isthmus. But any good connections still in Mexico? I hear they have great bread for export. Total joke. 15 years too late. Yeah. So no, I don't really have any good connections in Mexico. I completely withdrew from Mexico and made a very big commitment to never go back based on the safety. I was buying real estate down there. The short answer is that the woman that was selling it to me was selling it to me based on forged paperwork, false paperwork. And so I hired an attorney, a Mexican attorney, who was actually vetted and recommended by the State Department in the United States. He had an excellent relationship, excellent United States, U.S. relationship, Mexican attorney. He was a Mexican attorney, and he had a Mexican law firm, and his wife was a Mexican attorney. His family was Mexican attorneys. They're very well respected. None of this mordida, which is basically a bribe that you use to get stuff done in various countries. It's just different. In the U.S., we call them permits, and you give it to Louise, who is the secretary behind the desk, and then she gives it to Anna, and Anna's like more of a managerial person, and she stamps the permit, and then you pay your money, and you get the ability to do what you want to do. Versus in Mexico, you walk down the street and there's a guy with a badge who presumably is in charge of a certain area, and you say, "Listen, Juan, can I give you dinero to be able to get my trabajando? Can I work here? For this? Can I get some work done here, babe?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure. Just give me like 2,000 pesos. We'll work it out." Okay. It's incredibly efficient, quite frankly. It's just that when people add some degree of lying to any behavior like that, then of course it's bad news bears. But anyway, so find it, and anyway, so put the woman in jail because she wouldn't give me my money back, nor would she basically give me the correct paperwork because she couldn't, and so she lied to me, and so therefore that's actually a felony in Mexico, believe it or not. And so she was in jail, but the money never materialized, but other things did. But the short answer is that what we discovered, my attorney and I, realized that the title to the business, the title to the physical building, actually, the title to the business, the title to the land, the way that a foreigner buys land in Mexico is through a trust. And so basically what they were doing is they had this trust for this property, for this building and land in a bank. And and it was owned by the drug cartels. And the drug cartels in Mexico were laundering money through this, and therefore that was a valuable asset for them. So when Gringo shows up with an attorney and with the help of like the Mexican government and the help of, the U.S. State Department, and they discover, hey, you know what? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put this into your attorney's name, who had power of attorney. And then he's actually going to sell it through Remax, and you're going to get your money, and then we're going to be able to do, okay, great. Well, the drug cartels realized, so they basically took my attorney and they drove him off the road. They buried him up to his neck and they drove him over his head. So that said to me, okay, well, I'm never getting this property back, and I need to leave Mexico right now and never go back. Had to hire a private investigator to actually go down there and find out all of this. And so anyway, I don't go to Mexico. I have zero desire to go to Mexico. The only time I did go to Mexico and I felt unsafe and afraid every single second I was there was when the only way I could get Gracie to live close to me in the United States, because I lived in San Diego, worked in San Diego. It's an 18-mile drive, basically, down to the Mexican border. She and I lived in Tijuana for about 2 months because she was able to come over to Mexico on a tourist visa. And so I was able to go in and out of there. But it's ridiculous. I had to like interface with my private investigator, who had to basically make sure that there was a safe house arranged so that if I had to, for $2,000, I could get into one of those tunnels and get back into the U.S. And, because of my safety. It was ridiculous, And so I was like, this is not, come on, man. This is. Now, when I was down in Cabo, it wasn't as dangerous. And so that wasn't so bad because I would go to San Jose del Cabo, Los Cabos. And so I wasn't going to Cabo San Lucas, which is like very touristy and that sort of thing. So that was also pretty safe if I were to stay like at a Marriott over there. But when I was like Airbnb-ing at like mom and pops down in, San Jose del Cabo, is very chill right down it's basically pretty much directly south of the airport. Whereas Cabo San Lucas, where most people go, is on the west side. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Mexico. Too unsafe. Solo dame unos fideos. China, we were in and out pretty much. If you're considering Hong Kong, Hong Kong is Asian, and it's a special administrative regions, SAR, right, of China, but it's not really China. It's Hong Kong, it's Taiwan, but I tell you what, we loved Hong Kong, except the price. It's so freaking expensive, and you don't get good value for your money. Singapore, arguably the most expensive city in the world, it's expensive, okay, but you get a lot. You get more. You don't get a lot. You get more in, like, for the $100 you spend in Singapore, you get more than $100 worth of stuff that you would get in Hong Kong. Hong Kong, you spend $100 to stay in a little, but it's a lame ass old condo or Airbnb, or the food you get there is not really overpriced, much like you can get very reasonably priced food in Singapore. Transportation costs are pretty much the same in both cities, except if you want to own your own car. Then I believe it's like it's a 50,000 to 75,000 dollar ante to get a permit to be able to get a car, to be able to get your driver's license, kind of thing. And that's ridiculously expensive in Singapore. Singapore is much cleaner. It's incredibly safe. There is no city safer than Singapore. And it's sterile. too. I mean, it's, there's some opportunity there, but it's very business. I mean, they designed the city / country correctly, right? I mean, they weren't like, oh yeah, let's do the best we can. It's like, no, dude. This is going to be the example city for finance and business and taxes and, quality of living, healthcare. I mean, it's expensive, very, very expensive. Hong Kong has a lot more character to it. It has a lot more imperfection to it. It has a lot more history to it. And it's got a lot more dirt too. And it has a very similar expense. So that was sort of our China. I have not done Taipei. I'm dying to go to Taiwan in not this time of year. I want to go there pretty much May through August because it gets cold there, and I don't like cold. I refuse to go to cold. I love my parents more than pretty much anything in my entire life, up there with Gracie, of course. But it's September, and it's cold in September in Boston. I'm not going home to visit my folks. I'll go home in August. I'll go home in June, maybe. I'll go home in July for sure. July and August, hot, humid all day long. I will go back to Boston, but not right now. But we loved Hong Kong until about 2019, until January 29th. Shit, I went to Hong Kong 4 times in 1 year. The last time I was there, I went through there. I went for an alumni meeting, believe it or not, an alumni meeting of students, because I'm also a graduate of the University of San Diego. I got my master's there as well as worked there for 15 years and running their IT. And they had alumni that were in Hong Kong. I mean, Hong Kong is enough of an international city where like enough people from this small, boutique, if you will, University of San Diego in Southern California, there were enough, alumni that were in there. So they all met one day, and I had just been passing through. I think it was like November, December. So I stopped for like 3 or 4 days, went to this meeting. It was great. And before that, I was there for, I think the 3 times prior to that. And those 3 times were within a course of 2 to 3 months. Met Gracie there. We actually, flew in to Hong Kong and met there. I also went to a conference in Singapore. The beauty of that was it afforded me the opportunity to stay at the Marina Bay Sands, not the Mission Bay, San Diego, but Marina Bay Sands. The very iconic Singapore hotel that looks like a giant surfboard / tongue where the pool is. It's ridiculously overpriced, and the amenity, it's weathering big time. I mean, like the wood inside of the facilities is not, the faucets are like, wearing. There's been, lime and pitting and that sort of thing in the metal. It's, and again, this doesn't bother me when I'm paying $50 to stay in, somewhere. But when, the room is like $350 a night, let's see. So I was there like 3 nights, maybe 4 nights. I think it was like $1,500. Just, give me a break, dude. I don't spend $1,500 a month living and doing life in Thailand. So a less than 3-hour flight from Bangkok, and I'm in a country that is ridiculously overpriced. So to answer your question, Hong Kong was good. Singapore was infinitely better. Bangkok is my home, one of them. Ooh, a kitty. Oh, I hear a very live kitty. Interesting. Hey, is that a cat? Wow, that's weird. I can't even hear that through the microphone. Dinner time. Thanks for the stream. You know what, Mark? I completely agree with you. That's a great stopping point. When's the visit to North Korea? Yeah, not happening. So with that, I will say thank you and hello and goodbye. And hopefully you guys have a great evening. I'll leave you with this because that's pretty darn awesome. And I'll say it's Mike from livemyassoff.com saying I hope you're living the dream, because if you're not living the dream, then there's a high likelihood that you didn't set up a whole $45 and came to a place like this to have a few days. Even when it's raining, it's still awesome.